For the last 2 years, we had been given a $28,000 USDA specialty crop block grant. And after 2 years of some very dedicated members of the committee, can you guys hear me in the back? Yes? Everything's good? We came to a couple of good conclusions. These are the reasons why we're actually concerned about pollen and nectar sources for not only native pollinators, but for the honeybee. And we're talking about late season. I'm lucky. I live in Kingman County. Out of the last 7 years, I've fed my bees once. You guys up north, on the other hand, you have a problem with native plant sources for pollinators. And this is the reason why we're doing this, for the girls. Okay? Fostering understanding is basically what we're doing. The bee informed person had just mentioned the fact that we have a desert when it comes to diversity in variety of plants that they can actually feed on. So this is what we're actually working on with this particular grant. If you don't recognize the flower, that's one of your natives. That's your coreopsis. Okay? Basically education for the pollinators and establish nectar sources. This is what we came to the result with this grant. Jen had mentioned Joe Alvarez and the committee have put together not only the video, and there it's on Vimeo. You can just go to Vimeo and type in NJ honeybees and other pollinators, and it will pop right up in an HD version, so it'll be pretty good. And we also have the brochure available. That's a resource that's in someone's hands, so they can actually change the way they are doing their gardening or supplying flowers. Okay, and phase 2 was the actual marketing. We had approached nurseries in the state, and they produced 10,000 plants of 2 different varieties, 2 different species of goldenrod, New England aster, and the butterfly weed. And New Jersey State Fair and 11 county 4-H fairs we had covered. I wanted to give a shout out and a thank you for all the volunteers at all the fairs, because we had a lot of people and a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails, but everybody had done well. And the 3 species are down below here. And I just killed my own PowerPoint. We started off with plug varieties for the ones that were given out for distribution. These are the goldenrods. These guys are only a couple of weeks old at one of the nurseries. We even got seed for the research plots, so we'll get into that in a second. But we actually got it in bulk and spread it out between 3 locations in the state. And this is the signs that we had out for all of the giveaways for all the county fairs. Okay, so they started actually going for it. This is them at the Atlantic County Fair, bagging them up, giving them out to the general public, all kinds of questions, even misconceptions about goldenrod being the cause of hay fever. You're not allergic to goldenrod because it needs a bee to transfer the pollen. Okay, we even had some happy folks at our fair. Okay, and look what I found in Atlantic County. Yes, he does exist. He's never around though. All right, and this is why we're doing it, for the girls again, for the pollination. All right, phase 3, 3 different test plots in the state. One was at Ramapo College, up at Mawa. The other was at From the Garden, which is Drew Madison's place in North Howell, just outside of Freehold, and the Richard Stockton College of New Jersey, which is Jersey Cape and their environmental club. I forgot to mention Dr. Weiner and the Northeast branch and his college students up there at Ramapo. This is up at Ramapo College. What they did was actually take a 1/4 acre and they're converting it from grass or non-productive area to a meadow. Now the standard is it takes up to 3 years. But we did it 3 different ways with the same plant species, and we just changed some of the environmental conditions. Up at Ramapo, what they had done was literally strip the turf, amended the soil, and they irrigated. And this is what they came up with. They had all the plant species that are tagged as they ID'd them. We actually had a little vermin running around. So we hired these 2 people to get them out. Okay? But this is what they came up with in the first year. Adult blooming plants. Reason why? Amended soil and irrigation. Do you think a municipality would do that? Not really. The The state, along the highways, now they're not gonna take the time to water. But the residential, the homeowner, definitely. So you've got a 55-50 lot that you wanna change over, this is what you can have within a year. This happens to be anassistive, by the way. And this is ageratum, the native. And this happens to be a native lupin. And these are all listed in that brochure. This is Drew Maston's place, and as you can tell by the truck and the knife, he was a little rough with his plants. But he did also get blooms. This is feverfew. This happens to be another type of goldenrod. There are 12 different species, 9 you can find in New Jersey. This happens to be coreopsis. And these are the kids over at Stockton. And what Drew did, he didn't amend his soil, but he irrigated regularly, and he did not till. What they did at Stockton was take their plot right in the middle of the pine barrens, the biggest sandbox in the world, with a lot of weeds. And this is what they came up with. This is the spot that they actually had tilled, and we had poor growth, but we actually had germination. So we're banking on the rainwater for the next 3 years. The next 2 years, this spring, we should have an explosion of plants and flowers. But this is what it actually had looked like. Not as pretty as the other two. And that happens to be the butterfly weed, the orange one, tuberosa. They call it Railroad Annie. You can find it growing anywhere on its shrub sites. That's the one that's not supposed to germinate. Go figure. You're in the pine barrens. This is what it should look like. This happens to be a managed field for a wildlife management area for the DEP. And this is all goldenrod and coreopsis during the entire season. It's this way for almost 5 months. All flowers. Along with the other pollinators. That happens to be another type of aster, a field aster. This is your bee balm, which is also native. This is your goldenrod growing on the dunes. The same idea. Along with your echinacea. It almost sounds like rhinestone, but I remembered I turned it off. This happens to be coreopsis too in that same field. And now for the future. We're actually in talks with JCP&L, and I hope Atlantic Electric gets back to us. But that's going to be the first that we're approaching to put the same kind of meadows in the right-of-ways underneath their power lines. We went out there last week in all the snow. Steve McAuliffe, myself, and Steve Lukowski, and Kevin O'Connor from JCP&L. And this is the area that we're going to try to do this spring. It's all of about 3 acres. We've got a hillside, a little elevation, a little wetlands, but this is what we're going to try to work on. And nobody wanted their picture taken, but that little orange spot, that's Steve's head with his hat on. So, and this is where we're actually bringing it to the general public. This is us this week at the flower show, with our message about not only the honeybees and the education, people wanting to know about joining, wanting to start up, but what can I plant? How can I help? What's wrong with that picture? We need some volunteers, so just keep that in mind. Okay? And this is the committee. And everybody did their fair share. And everybody did some darn good work. So, does anybody have any good questions? Or any questions?
Once a meadow is established, do you anticipate any ongoing maintenance required?
Once a meadow gets established, the only maintenance you have to do is raise it once a year. In other words, cut it. That's it. And usually by the end of February. Because the pollinators will come in and get the nectar and pollen. The wildlife will come in and get the seeds. They may use the dry grasses for forage and nesting. And by the end of February, when you cut it down, you just encourage more growth to put organic matter back in the soil. No fertilizer, annual rainfall, and that would be it. So after 3 years, it's almost maintenance free. Somebody's got to go check it though. Yes?
How low are you cutting it?
3 inches.
Oh.
3 or 4 inches. That's it. Just enough to get rid of all the dead material. We went to Ernst Seed and Prairie Moon. That's where we obtained our seeds. And it was a recommendation from the Natural Resource Conservation Service for the USDA. So that's available to everybody online, and the list of plants is also available on the website. Yeah?
What would be involved as far as volunteering?
All you have to do is email me on the corresponding secretary, and I will be more than happy to point you in the direction for the volunteering. There have been general emails sent out asking for volunteers for certain shows that we're doing, and there'll be one going out for this, because we're gonna try to get this done by the end of April, beginning of May, this year. Okay, this is out at Colt's Neck, okay, right off of Westminster Road. Yes?
You still have brochures, Joe?
Yeah, we do have some of the old ones left, but we're gonna update and change a couple of things that we realized were kind of, you know, a little skewed. But yes, we should get them in the next printing whenever, and everybody was asked to order that when I sent out the email to get your list of how many. Okay, so you should have some good ones probably in the next 60 days or so, something like that.
Should be less than that.
Yes?
I have a problem over the last couple of years. I'm trying to find pollinator-friendly plants through my local home.
Yes?
And then I found out after the fact that they're contaminated seed.
The ones that are coated?
Yeah.
You can actually go and get untreated seeds from a couple of the organic places that are online, but the ones from Ernst and Prairie Moon are not.
What about people who don't have time to deal with seeds and original plots and weeding and all that? Is there a place to buy plants?
You can check with your local nursery, because most of the online catalogs, sometimes they're reputable and they'll send you some healthy plants, but check with your local nursery. If not, if you don't want to try to redo an area in your yard right away, start out trying to grow your own seeds in small containers, 6-packs or gallon-sized pots. And once they get established, then you can put them in the ground, and then they'll spread on their own after the 2 to 3 year period. But what's a weed? It's an unwanted flower, that's all. Keep that in mind.
Folks can contact their local extension, their local master gardeners,
They can, yes.
and they can find out what nurseries, local nurseries sell organic plants.
Some of the counties do that, and some of them, you know, they're a little iffy, but yeah, you can try your county extension office, the Rutgers office. You could probably go to their website too, but I mean, I know our county's pretty good. I know your guys' county's pretty good also, South Jersey's. Yes?
Plant Society New Jersey also has lists.
And so does the Garden Club of New Jersey also. I forgot to mention that. Yes. Yes. Everybody good? Everybody's gonna go out and plant something today? I didn't think so. It's too cold and the ground's too hard. If you have any other questions, the email is up there on the website. You drop me one. I'm the corresponding secretary. We will be more than happy to help answer your questions. Just plant something for the girls to eat in the fall. All right? Thank you.